All right, listen, we just talked about this, but Vinny Goodwill wasn't here when we mentioned that Sean McVay, head coach of the LA Rams with their fly uniforms, says that Matthew Stafford has been better than he thought. And keep in mind that the Rams gave up a ton to get Stafford, gave up several first-round picks, and gave up their own, we thought he was a Pro Bowler, but not so much, Pro Bowl quarterback Jared Goff to get Stafford. Now, Ahmed thinks that Stafford is a good quarterback.
Yes.
Vinny Goodwill, our guy, our brother from another, what say you? I'm just go give me the popcorn. I'm gonna go watch.
He's a good quarterback. I mean, is that saying a lot? I'm not bashing Matthew Stafford. I just don't bow at the altar of Matthew Stafford that he was a franchise savior in Detroit, which he was not, or that he's even a franchise savior with the Rams. Do you see the guys that he's throwing to? Do you see how open Cooper Kupp is? I can tell you how open Cooper Kupp is because he's on my fantasy team. And we're getting buckets right now, buckets of touchdowns and buckets of yards, which is what we've always known about Matthew Stafford. He can throw for 35 touchdowns. He can throw for 4,000 yards. It's not about September or October. It's about January with Matthew Stafford. What's the signature Matthew Stafford playoff moment, Michael Holley? Don't worry, I'll wait.
I can't think of one.
Yeah, so
I can't think of one.
The best argument against Matthew Stafford, Vinny, is that Jared Goff did the same and brought the Rams to a Super Bowl. So that's the best argument again. But as a Lions fan, we don't have that much, right? Let's at least appreciate a time where we had a quarterback who was solidly above average. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, God.
Let's just celebrate the fact that we had a quarterback that was better than most.
That's sad.
Wait, you said you're a Lions fan?
I'm a Lions fan, yeah.
Why?
Well, it's where I grew up. I can't disown it as much as I've tried.
No, you can get out of toxic relationships. We've been taught that over the past X amount of years. I quit the Lions July 27th, 1999. That's the day that you should have quit. How old are you?
Yeah.
You have gray hair. So you're
I'm old enough to.
Me.
Yeah, I was 99, you said? That's when you quit him, 99? Yeah, I was old enough to quit. I was old enough to know better. You're right. I've stayed long enough, and now that at this time, I don't know if I can live without him. So it's hard. It's a hard relationship, and I'm getting depressed thinking about it.
You can detox. Here's the thing.
Man, this is like...
No. Here's the thing. I think people believe that because I think Matthew Stafford was the least scrutinized number one pick. When you think about the number one picks from the quarterback position over the past, let's just say decade, and you go back to Cam Newton and was it Carson Wentz or Jared Goff, whatever that situation was. I can't remember exactly how that played out. All those number one picks got all types of hell. Matthew Stafford caught nothing. The Lions, when they had their ineptitude on the world stage, it was, oh my God, there's the Lions again. But how many other quarterbacks got that level of grace and said, oh, the Panthers had a terrible offensive line. Cam Newton can't throw behind that, or organizational dysfunction everywhere else. My thing was, what are the rules that Matthew Stafford gets to run by relative to everyone else? If the rules are parallel, cool. But if they're not, I got a problem with it. And when you consider the fact that Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson could have gotten traded and had to retire, and the Lions gave Matthew Stafford a golden parachute on his way out and traded him to a great place. Wait a minute. I don't know if that sits well with me. That's just one of those things that make you go,
Now, what I will say is that Matthew Stafford has done things in the NFL that no other quarterback has done. He's broken some records there, and he did it with the Detroit Lions and in that franchise. But, Michael, I'm in the uncomfortable position of defending the Detroit Lions and some former players on that team.
Hey, listen,
and no one likes that.
It's too depressing. it's too depressing.
Yes.
Vinny's right. It's a toxic relationship, and we get to see you in real time as Vinny counsels you to get out of that relationship. Leave her alone. She's not good for you. You need to move on. Hey, bro, you can do better, man. Yeah. You all right? All right? Come on. We trying to pump you up, and you having these self-doubts on camera.
It's been very therapeutic.
I want to talk about another dysfunctional. Let's talk about another dysfunctional relationship, and that is the relationship between Philadelphia, Vinny, Ben Simmons, Doc Rivers, Daryl Morey, Joel Embiid. It's a whole family drama. I know you have written about this. Daryl Morey has talked about it. Let's listen to Morey, and then I want you to talk about your fine column on it. Here's Daryl Morey on Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio.
This is a very good player. And to give ourselves the best chance to win the title, you need difference makers. You don't need role players. Right now, any sort of trade, which obviously Ben Simmons wants, the best thing we can do is get role players back. That makes no sense. That will give us no better chance to win the title if we were to move Ben Simmons for role players. So people should buckle in. I mean, this is going to go a long time, because our only path, my only job, is to help us give the best chance to win the title. Ben Simmons is a difference maker, so if we can get him back, he will help us win the title. If we can trade Ben Simmons for a difference maker, we will do it. I think that's best for everyone in this situation.
Wow, Vinny, this is bizarre. And a headline in Yahoo Sports: Ben Simmons saga won't end unless Daryl Morey does something he rarely does. And I will just go right to the author and say, what is that thing that he needs to do that he rarely does, Vinny, to make this situation better?
He needs to cut bait. Like, I know the common trope is, you don't want to trade Ben Simmons for 50 cents on the dollar. But guess what? That dollar is sitting in a glass case that you're not using anyway, that you can't spend. So 50 cents, which could be CJ McCollum or whatever the best player out of it is, makes the Philadelphia 76ers a better team than they are without Ben Simmons on the floor. Daryl Morey tries to purport himself like he didn't know what he was walking into. He received a handsome salary, but we all knew that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons were an awkward match and that there were going to have to be choices made. This wasn't like, oh my God, Game 7 in Atlanta happened and then the light bulb went off that Ben Simmons had to go. It wasn't just Ben Simmons that wanted out. If you remember correctly, Daryl Morey was ready to ship Ben Simmons off to Houston for James Harden last year, but couldn't. So let's not pretend. I think Morey tries to be this moral authority on, well, I really don't want to trade him, but since he doesn't want to be here, I have to get equal value. No, you don't. You have to do what's best for the long-term health of your team. And by long-term health, don't they have a center that has back problems and knee problems and conditioning issues? And we don't know how long that clock is ticking on Joel Embiid's body. So you're saying buckle up because you don't have to deal with this every day. You don't have to be in a locker room every day. You're saying buckle up because you're in an airplane 30,000 feet off the ground and everybody else is in the car driving through traffic. He, to me, lacks a certain human touch when it comes to dealing with teams and players, and that they're not chess pieces. He said, what are the odds? And he's looking at this from a numerical standpoint. And while that's fine, you have to understand that Doc Rivers had to stand and take these bullets every day, and so does Joel Embiid, and they're not trying to hear about where's Ben Simmons, what's Ben Simmons going to do, and all these leaks that come out every day that makes Ben Simmons and Daryl Morey look like a modern-day Tom and Jerry chasing the cheese. Who cares? Get rid of them and move on from it.
That's hard to argue with that. I guess the one point that Morey might make is if you don't stand the line somewhere, all of your players, when they get the itch to move on somewhere else, they know that they can do that. If no matter if it's a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, 4-year deal, it's that if you let this slide with Ben Simmons and let him dictate the rules, then what's to stop any of your other superstars that you have from here till forever for doing the same thing?
Welcome to today's NBA. This is what's been going on for years now. This is not anything new. Ben Simmons is not changing the paradigm. Daryl Morey seems to be on some moral crusade to change the paradigm of what player empowerment looks like. Players ask out of their contracts to get traded all the time, and inevitably they wind up getting their way. It don't matter if it's right. What matters is that's the precedent that's been set for the past 10 years. I don't disagree with you that if a player has 4 years and $140 million left on his contract, man up and play. I agree with you. But at the same time, he knew when he took this job that there was so much damage done between Ben Simmons and the organization that last year wasn't going to fix anything, in my opinion. When you take that job that this is something that you're going to have to address one way or the other, and they chose Joel Embiid. That is the best choice. That is the right choice. You chose Joel Embiid. Now your choice is to trade Ben Simmons and get something for him. His thing is, he's being disingenuous, guys, when he's talking about all they're offering is role players. He's asking for multiple first-round picks, 3 first-round picks and pick swaps. That's why they're only offering you quote unquote role players, because you're having to give up every asset in the future that you have for a guy who's, the last time we saw him was passing up dunks with Trae Young under the rim in the fourth quarter. Those are the breaks. You can't say I want role players and then, or I'm getting role players and then saying I want your best players and all of your draft picks for a depreciated asset. He's not being realistic, and honestly, he's not being truthful to Philadelphia.
Yeah, and listen, speaking of not being truthful, neither is Ben Simmons when he's talking about, hey, I'm not mentally ready to play, y'all.
I think that's true. I think he wants no part of Philadelphia. I think he wants no part of those fans.
Okay.
No part of playing. I think he look like the dude that embraces conflict? The Ben Simmons that we've seen, does he look like the dude that is ready to walk into a hostile environment? Hell, walk into a hostile locker room that is his teammates and perform.
I was going to say,
with
maybe
them.
the locker room, right?
It's all of the above.
The locker room might be the hostile place. Yeah. Hey, you know what, Vinny? I don't think, you tell me, I don't think C.J. McCollum is 50 cents on the dollar. Now, I'm not saying McCollum is as decorated as Ben Simmons. I think that's a pretty good trade. Do you think that's a good trade for Philly? Because I do.
I think if you're Philadelphia, here's the boxes you have to check. You have to get a shot creator, right? You have to get a guy that can get his own shot at an elite level late in playoff games so teams can't load up on Joel Embiid, right? Those are the things that we saw last year that became a problem late in that playoff series. You're not going to get a guy who's a shot creator, a defender, a distributor, and all these other different things, because Ben Simmons isn't all of these things. You have to pick the one quality that means the most to you as a franchise, move forward, and then try to fill in the blanks with the other space that you have. I think C.J. McCollum is a fabulous player if he's your second or third best player. Between he and Tobias Harris, you have enough shot creation that you should make yourselves formidable. Now, I didn't think that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid made a championship combination. Even if Ben Simmons was right and was there and was healthy, I didn't think the mix was good. So for him to pretend that this move has to make the 76ers markedly better as opposed to being what they were, which is a second round playoff team that if the breaks go right can make the conference finals, I think is disingenuous.
This is a topic that's created a lot of debate, and I think the NBA is really good at that, creating a lot of debate, and they've done it also with their top 75 list. You hear people chiming in, who was left off, who was put on there. Is it recency bias with some of the players who we've forgotten about in the bygone days? Just your thoughts. I don't think you've shared a whole lot on them yet, Vinny, but did the NBA and the people in the Blue Ribbon Committee mostly get it right with these top 75 players they got on, or on balance, did they mostly get it wrong? Where would you say they hit?
It's hard to mostly get it wrong, right? Because I think 60 of the guys, by and large, are unassailable, right? Like, if I say a name to you, you're going to be like, yes, he's top 50. If I say Giannis, you're like, yes. If I say Kawhi Leonard, you might think about it, but you'll say yes. LeBron, yes. Kobe, yes. I think the question comes in with maybe those last 10 names on the back end. I think the NBA was trying to serve a bunch of different masters here, and pardon the pun. They wanted to preserve the top 50. It wasn't a prerequisite, but I believe they made it known to their voters, and selecting the voters that they selected, which was heavily skewed towards older people who saw those guys play. It was almost a tacit thing, like, we want to preserve the top 50. We don't want to take those guys off. And then you're saying, well, do guys play long enough? How much is winning involved? And if you have way too many factors outside of who's best to tell the story of the league from a performance standpoint, from how high you were when your game was at its best, then you're going to get a few names on there that you're going to be like, I'm not so sure about that. And I think whenever you're doing 75, if it was 50, I think the 50 would be unassailable. When you're doing 75, there's always going to be a couple on the back end that make you say, and to the fact that you did not have Dwight Howard on there, I don't care how much of a pain in the ass that he's been over the past 7-8 years. Look at his first 8 years, he belongs, and he's not top 75. Dwight Howard is top 50.
Yeah, that's right. Dwight Howard. I was surprised, not shocked, but a little surprised that Bernard King didn't make the list. A little surprised that Klay Thompson didn't make the list. I think Klay Thompson is the top 75. Now, I heard Steve Kerr say Draymond should have been there. I don't think Draymond should have been on there, but Klay, sure. Wow. And Vince Carter. No Vince Carter. What? Guy played forever.
What's the criteria? Is the criteria on how great you were at your best, how long you were to accumulate statistics, what the effect you had on the game? Every voter had their own criteria. There was not a select criteria. I was not selected to be part of this blue ribbon panel. I did not make it past that first set. I should look. I'm not going to campaign for myself. The league had its criteria. They had the boxes that they wanted to check off, and I certainly respect that. And I did not create my own 75 list, so for me to criticize their list right now, that's something I'm actually going to be doing over the weekend to better formulate all of my thoughts. But to be perfectly, I was surprised there were a few names weren't on there. But Dwight Howard is, to me, the most egregious omission from that. And to me, I don't know about you guys, the one that I was a little bit shocked that he made it might have been Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I would say that too. I would say that was a bit of a surprise. I've been critical of Anthony Davis. Michael Smith has heard that rant many times. So I would say that. Last thing, before we let you go, I know you're a very busy man. I can't wait to read your work on the 75 list. And just I know you're busy. Did you happen to catch Milwaukee and Brooklyn? I don't know. I know, bro, you got a lot going on. Really great writer, man. I know how hard it is to write. I just don't know if you caught the game. Did you catch it?
I was curious. Did you catch the game last night? Milwaukee, Miami. Did you catch that one? I'm just curious.
No,
I'm not
no,
sure.
I didn't. No, I didn't.
I know you're a very busy man. Denver was playing.
I didn't watch
Denver
it.
was playing
why.
Cleveland last night. It was on League Pass, not TNT.
Right. I was watching that one.
I completely understand the point that you are trying to make. So if you want to get into a battle of petty wars, let's get into a battle of petty wars here.
You don't want to do that.
You want to do it? You want to do that? Because
Michael,
I can be pettier. I can be pettier than you.
You don't want to get into a battle.
I know you can. Don't want to get into a battle. But Vinny, thank you. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for not mentioning today. You didn't mention Kevin Durant's shoe size. You didn't mention injuries for Harden and Irving in the series against the Bucks. You didn't mention it. None of the excuses. None of the familiar Brooklyn Nets excuses.
I never
so for that,
do.
my friend.
I never do.
I applaud you.
I never mention any of that stuff. Don't do that. And you always try to get the last word.
Yeah.
Smart man.
He was trying to lead the break. I saw that too.
He was. Yeah,
he was trying to lead the break. He was
Smart
like, okay,
man.
they'll cut him off here.